Qin Yufei's heart was sour and bitter. She sighed and hugged her father's arm, her head resting on his shoulder. She really let herself down. Qin Wenyi poked her head. When are you going to save mom and dad some trouble? Qin Yufei pouted. She also wanted to save trouble. But she really did not have half confidence in herself and men. Gu Yingjia sighed. He was angry with Qin Yufei for several days. And then busy with work. He also slowly eased up. Just sometimes pick up the phone to look at the text message. Find himself looking forward to her call. But there was never a phone call from her. Not even a greeting text message. Gu Yingjia feels that he is also guilty of being lowly. Cheap scum. One day a week later, Gu Yingji's mother invited a very reputable old Chinese doctor to her home as a guest. Saying that she was very good at gynecological conditioning. Gu Yingji's sister and sister-in-law both came home early, wanting that doctor to take a pulse and tune up the body. Gu Yingjia was free that day, so he took on the burden of picking up his nephew and niece from school. When he brought the children back to the family mansion, the doctor was talking to Gu Yingji's mother and others in the living room about maintenance knowledge. Gu Yingjia listened from afar, and was pulled away by the children. When he came back again, that old Chinese doctor had finished talking, and several women were very happy when they talked about the topic of conditioning and beauty. Gu Yingjia actually has some questions he would like to ask. But in front of so many women, it is very inconvenient, and he doesn't have the face. After that he had a bright idea and found an opportunity to say that he helped to send the doctor. Everyone did not care and let him do it. That night, Qin Yufei received a text message from Gu Yingjia. He said that women with menstrual cramps should soak their feet at night, do warming exercises, keep on conditioning, and write a bunch of methods and medicine names. And finally said that when it hurts, stuff 2 alcohol cotton balls in the ears. Can stop the pain. Qin Yufei's face blackened. Where did he go to find a remedy for menstrual cramps? He is a big man. Why does he care about her menstrual cramps? He really could be more dramatic. Qin Yufei tossed the phone aside. But after a while she couldn't help but take it over and look at it again. The content is a bit too much. Several text messages. She did not bother to look at those, but only stared at the screen. Gu Yingji's name. Keep looking, and then throw the phone aside. Gu Yingjia didn't expect Qin Yufei to text him back, although he was curious to know if she had followed those methods. The doctor said, menstrual cramps, such things, in fact, can be big, can be small. If the pain is very strong, should go to the hospital to check. Find the cause of the disease can be the right solution. There are some diseases can be cured when found in time. If it is just a cold body or something. In actual fact, he did not hear too much. According to his understanding anyway, is nothing serious but needs to be nourished and cared for in general. Can use those methods he taught. Consistent do it, will slowly improve the physique. Although Gu Yingjia feels that Qin Yufei will certainly not return his text messages. But he still hopes that she can pay attention to this body problem. That woman looks lazy. It's really worrying. 2 days later, Gu Yingjia suddenly thought that he did not specify the source of these methods in the text message. Would Qin Yufei think that he is randomly copied? Cannot be trusted, so don't follow it? The worrying Gu Yingjia sent another text message to Qin Yufei, telling her that the method he told her came from a famous doctor and that she must pay attention to it. This time, after the text message was sent, there has been no reply. Although Gu Yingjia is not very comfortable in his heart. But let it go. Can't be bothered with that woman Qin Yufei. Or else die of anger. Qin Yufei is also about to be angry with herself. She always wants to take the phone to see the message sent by Gu Yingjia, and even very much want to send him back. The phone is so convenient. His name is lying inside. She just needs to press. She can find him. Can barely hold it back. It was the weekend. Gu Yingjia promised to take his nephew and niece to an amusement park. And before he went out, his cell phone rang. Gu Yingjia took out his phone and saw that it was Qin Yufei. Gu Yingji's heart beat faster, and he was a little nervous under the gaze of the 2 children. He walked out of the living room and turned to a corner to answer this call. He cleared his throat and then cleared it again before pressing the answer button and, hello. Gu Yingjia. Qin Yufei's voice is still crisp and sweet. And the greeting is still so pleasant. Are you free today? Free. These two words popped up in Gu Yingji's head immediately. He held it in time and asked her, for what? To invite you to a meal. A meal? Gu Yingjia was taken aback. What's happened to you? He was a little nervous. She got into trouble and needed help? Could it be that Zhao Hongwei's side had provoked her again? Why should something happen? Qin Yufei was not pleased. Can I buy you a meal if I don't get into trouble? Oh, it's good that it's okay. But is it really okay? You're not free? Qin Yufei was already very nervous. And when she couldn't hear his answer, she beat a retreat. Forget it if you're not free. Bye. Then she hung up quickly. Gu Yingjia was frozen with the phone in his hand. His mouth still open and ready to speak. Just about to reply, but heard the beep sound of being hung up. No one could stand it. Gu Yingjia was so angry. What kind of person is this? Female bandits? Did she know how to be polite? Did he say he was not available? Did he say that? How dare she hang up on someone like that? She's so good. Gu Yingjia called back and got through. The beep has not finished ringing. Qin Yufei quickly picked up. The speed of picking up was as fast as hanging up. Qin Yufei, even if you answer quickly, you can't get Gu Yingjia to stop being angry. And he yelled as soon as he opened his mouth. What? Unfortunately, Miss Qin is not afraid at all. She will not lose in terms of playing rough. Do you know how to write the word polite? Are you going to criticize me? She wanted to hang up the phone again. Where's the appointment? What time? She reminded so well that it is necessary meet to criticize her. So it's a must to meet. Must meet. 12 o'clock. Jade Western Restaurant. Qin Yufei's heart began to beat fast. He actually agreed? Okay. See you there. He knew that restaurant. And 12 o'clock was enough time to make it. Gu Yingjia hung up the phone and looked at himself. He had a casual outfit of a child carrier. Really not suitable for a date. He should go back and change his outfit. It would be good to wear the new clothes he bought last week. Walking back to the living room, seeing two children looking at him with a careful face, Gu Yingjia was awkward. Although he felt very sorry for the children, but he still ironically announced that he had a temporary emergency to deal with, and could not accompany the children to the amusement park. The daughter of Gu Yingqi did not say a word. Her little mouth pouted. Her eyes were red, and she immediately cried for him to see. Gu Yingjia had a headache. It took almost an hour to coax the children, and with the help of grandfather Gu Wengguang, the children finally agreed to go to the mall with their grandparents. Ignoring their busy mom and dad, and ignoring their uncle who doesn't keep his word, Gu Yingjia looked at the watch. Crap. It was going to be late. He rushed back to his own home to change his clothes, and rushed to the Western restaurant. Unexpectedly, there was a traffic jam on the road. On a weekend, how could there be a traffic jam? Gu Yingji's heart was a bit anxious. It was rare to meet with Qin Yufei once. He would not be rudely late. Right? And that woman's temper. Because he was late, so she won't wait for him to arrive and leave. Right? Finally Gu Yingjia runs a red light. Past the yellow light. Look at the watch, he is already 5 minutes late. Hoping that the woman will not turn around and go. Or he will definitely find her trouble. Gu Yingjia hurriedly parked the car and rushed a few steps toward the restaurant door. His heart was beating a little fast and he felt a little nervous. Then, through the floor-to-ceiling glass wall, he saw Qin Yufei. She was sitting against the wall, wearing a white dress with a ponytail, showing her small white face. She was staring at the empty seat across the room with her chin propped up. Gu Yingjia stopped in his tracks and just stood there, quietly watching her. The sunlight sprinkled on her body, as if to give her a layer of warm golden light. So dazzling, so beautiful. The expression on her face was lonely and pitiful, and the whole person looked weak and slender. A contradictory woman. It is fascinating. Gu Yingjia could not move his gaze and felt his heart beating faster. An unspeakable feeling filled his chest. He thought it must have been a long time since he saw her. And he must have been too surprised to receive an invitation from her. That's why he had this and that indescribable feeling. He pushed that strange feeling down. He took another step. He entered the restaurant and walked up to her. Qin Yufei was so engrossed in her days that she didn't realize it until Jiyu Yingjie sat down in the seat opposite her. She was completely unaware of Jiyu Yingjie's lateness and was even a little dazed. The silly look was cute. When Jiyu Yingjie smiled at her, Qin Yufei came to her senses and returned the smile in a panic. She was actually nervous. Jiyu Yingjie sensed it. He started to get worried. She really did have some kind of trouble that she needed his help with. Didn't she? He didn't move because he knew that this woman was very proud. And if she had come to ask him for help, then she must have gathered enough courage. He couldn't say the wrong thing, or she would swallow back what was in her mind. And that wouldn't be good. He wanted to help her. He was willing to help her. But in just these few seconds, Qin Yufei was already quickly armed. She flipped through the menu handed over by the waiter as if nothing had happened. Scanned it twice, and quickly ordered her meal. Jiyu Yingjie looked at the menu while secretly observing her, and found that she would also peek at him. When their eyes met, she would quickly flash away and pretend. With bashfulness, Jiyu Yingjie was suddenly in a great mood and somewhat self-satisfied. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up, completely unable to control his joy. She was so close to him. Sitting across from him, they would dine together and could talk for a long time without having to always think about whether she would text back. Without always thinking about the woman's lack of conscience not to call back. Without having to guess what she was doing right now. Jiyu Yingjie found himself smiling. Contentedly, he raised his eyes and ordered the meal he wanted from the waiter on the side. Which also included a fried fish fillet, more tomato sauce. He whispered, unable to resist turning his head to look at Qin Yufei. Her favorite tomato sauce, which she had not ordered earlier. When he looked, he saw her looking at him somewhat dazed. There was still a bit of a silly look. Jiyu Yingjie laughed and told the waiter to quickly place the order and serve the food. Then he sat upright and stared at her seriously. She was also looking at him. Still looking silly, Jiyu Yingjie kept looking at her. Over and over again. His heart floated up. That feeling swelled up his chest again. But this time, he knew what it felt like. Satisfaction. He was very satisfied. Looking at her, sitting with her, thinking about being able to eat together, talking together, thinking about her needing him. He was pleased and satisfied. Qin Yufei did not say anything. Jiyu Yingjie didn't bother to say anything either. He was getting excited and thrilled. He knew she really wasn't the type he always liked. But he was now suddenly very sure that he liked her. Just a moment ago, outside the restaurant, the moment he saw her, it had never been this clear to understand. He liked her, perhaps in stronger terms. He liked her very much. Qin Yufei. He called her name. Even just calling her name made him leap for joy. Was the air in this restaurant sprinkled with the drug of ecstasy? The drug of love. She looked at him. Didn't say anything. Didn't know what she was thinking. Qin Yufei. He called her again. Whatever trouble she was in, he would definitely help her. His heart was filled with a protective desire for her. He had to let her know this. He had to let her know that he was willing to let her rely on him. He will have to find a chance to talk to her about his feelings later. He is not someone who can hide his feelings. He knows his feelings and wants the other person to understand. What's more, the other party is Qin Yufei. Without saying clearly, it's not sure when the next meeting can be. This conscienceless woman will not miss him at all. He had to bow down to her. She guessed right. He was trying to pester her. Of course he didn't think so before. It doesn't matter if she believed before. What matters is that he wants to pester her now and see what she has to say. She couldn't resist. The passion she felt for him couldn't be concealed. There was an inexplicable magic between them. And that kiss at his house that day was so beautiful. She was so passionate that she was going to melt by him. It was never a mere sexual attraction. He knew that very well. She had feelings for him. He knew it. Maybe she was just proud and felt that they hadn't started well. That she didn't trust him enough. Or maybe she was like him and hadn't figured out what was going on. Well, either she didn't understand, or she just didn't think about it that way at all. Thinking that it is impossible. naturally will not think much about it. Just like he did. Inexplicably resisting. Silently avoiding. Avoiding the impossible. Thinking that as long as you do not care, it is really impossible. It's silly. So he should have a good talk with her. Of course. He'd let her talk about what she wanted to talk about first. What had happened to her? What did she need him to do? Let's eat first and talk afterwards. Qin Yufei said. The words were following the words in Qin Yingji's heart, making him smile. This is considered a heart-to-heart? Qin Yufei, nervous and a little twisted. See, Qin Yingjia has been laughing, made her angry. Why keep laughing and smiling? You forgot to take your medicine today? Obviously you did not take your medication. Very cranky. Qin Yingjia smiled, facing Qin Yufei's temper. He was really quite used to it. Speaking of taking medicine, did you use those methods I told you about? Qin Yufei blushed. Are you a man? Oh? Why do you care about women's kind of things? How do I remember that you're the one who doesn't look like a woman? At the beginning when we just met and weren't familiar, you were talking about your period. Hey, you have a very bad memory. It was obviously you who first said if it was my period coming and throwing a tantrum before I mentioned my period. Is that so? He cocked his head. In fact, he really didn't remember much about that time. He just remembered that she had her period at the restaurant and was so miserable and painful that her face turned pale. And he was the one who finally sent her back. Oh, at that time there was also she around. Qin Yufei glared at him. What a crooked head, pretend to be handsome. Annoying. The point is, did you listen and do as you were told? Of course. No, she answered quickly and gave him a look of how she could possibly listen to him. Qin Yingjia leaned back and looked at her with his arms clasped around his chest. With a, you are really disobedient, look. Qin Yufei shot him a glance. Play handsome? Acting Prince O? She does not buy this thing. Okay? She turned her head to look out of the window. As if there was no such person in front of her. After a while, the waiter served salads and appetizers. Qin Yufei turned her head back and ate very seriously. Without raising her head, Qin Yingjia slowly and methodically stuffed food into his mouth, looking at her from time to time. Today Missy is in a bad mood. So is this not a good time to talk to her about emotions? But it's not easy to see her. He's not willing to confess over the phone. And the woman is not answering his calls. He is not likely to send a text message to confess his feelings. And his text messages to her have always been like a stone thrown to the sea. Qin Yingji's heart was spinning. This woman must be difficult to handle. He had to think of how to start. What do you want from me? It's good to try it out first. Eat first, she replied. Can't we eat and talk at the same time? No. Why? I'm afraid I won't have a good meal. That's serious? He laughed lightly, making her glare at him. He added, now you equally unhappy without the chat. She continued to glare at him. She just likes to eat and then talk. Can't she? She was happy to be unhappy. Can't she? Qin Yingjia spread his hands under her glare. Okay, you can do whatever you want. You decide. Soon the main course came up. And Qin Yufei ate more seriously. Without raising her head, she finished her steak in one breath. Then a plate of fried fish fillet and a large portion of tomato sauce was silently pushed in front of her. She looked down and then raised her eyes to Qin Yingjia, who was chewing and slowly eating his baked rice. Noticing that she was looking at him, he said, if you want to eat, eat it. If you don't want to eat, put it away. I'll eat it later. Qin Yufei looked. There was still a lot of his rice. He hadn't finished it, so she should wait. She looked down and looked at the tomato sauce again. Saliva secreted in her mouth. So greedy. Wanted to eat. But she held back. The following words she was going to say made her reluctant to enjoy his thoughtfulness. Qin Yingjia also finally noticed that things were not too good. It was not like her previous unhappiness. He finished his meal, took the fried fish fillet over and ate it one bite at a time. He does not like dipping sauce. The original flavor is crispy. Without dipping sauce is delicious. Qin Yufei stared at him with a tolerant expression. Qin Yingjia didn't care about her and wasn't going to accommodate her ketchup obsession. Qin Yingjia. Qin Yufei finally couldn't help but speak up. What is it? Ji Yingjie asked playfully, thinking she must be picking on him for eating without dipping in the sauce. Do you like me? Ji Yingjie almost choked on the fried fish fillet. Ji Yingjie, I think I like you a lot. Qin Yufei said again. Ji Yingjie was shocked. Hurry to drink a large mouthful of water. You don't have to panic. I don't intend to do anything to you. Won't knock you out and drag you back to the cottage. Peeved. Water almost sprayed out. Coughing furiously. Qin Yufei quietly looked at his mess. No intention of giving him a tissue. Pat his back or something. Ji Yingjie's heart sank. How could he possibly like this kind of woman? Ji Yingjie. She waited for him to stop coughing and called his name. He wiped his mouth and looked at her. She paused for a moment and his heart lifted. Was she going to steal the confession? Between her usual heartless, fierce, and unlikable, should he say yes right away or hang on to her and say he'll think about it? Let's not see each other anymore. Ji Yingjie's mouth opened wide in surprise. If just now she took the initiative to say that she liked him out of his expectation, then now she was really completely out of his expectation when she said that they shouldn't meet again. And, wait, didn't she the one who asked him out? Asking him out to meet and then saying, let's not meet again, is a trick on him? They hadn't actively met before either. Those were just chance encounters. Weren't they? Ji Yingjie closed his mouth and frowned. I'm seriously talking. Don't make that face. Queen Qin was not satisfied with his reaction. Ji Yingjie raised his hand to scratch the corner of his brow and asked, why can't we meet? He refused to be played with like this. Qin Yufei didn't answer right away. She lowered her eyes, staring at the fried fish fillets, and finally couldn't resist taking one and dipping it in the tomato sauce and sending it into her mouth. The tomato sauce was sweet and sour and soothed her heart. She swallowed all the fish fillets, wiped her hands, and then said, Ji Yingjie, I have a lot of problems. I know. Ji Yingjie replied honestly. Qin Yufei gave him a glance and continued. You know about me. As for me, that relationship was really all out. I thought I could give everything. I thought I would marry him. I introduced him to all my friends. I even thought of taking him back to my parents. But this is how it ended up. Ji Yingjie, there is something wrong with me. I know, and I find it hard to devote myself wholeheartedly to a relationship anymore. I'm suspicious, and I have a temper, and I'm bossy, and she stopped. Seeing little children make her abdomen ache. And she didn't dare tell him. When in the United States, she dared to tell him about the ugly history and the bad things. But now she did not dare. She knew that she did fall in love with him. Qin Yufei lowered her eyelids and took 2 deep breaths. Ji Yingjie frowned and stared at her. Couldn't help but speak. But just started ahead and was interrupted by Qin Yufei. Don't you say anything yet. Let me finish first. She hardly mustered up enough courage. She had to finish in one breath. Ji Yingjie had no choice and closed his mouth. Qin Yufei continued. Ji Yingjie, actually you are quite good. But you're too womanizer. I'm not a womanizer. Ji Yingjie is unpleasant. It is impossible to shut up. He does not accept such an accusation. You've had so many girlfriends. How come you're not a womanizer? Every breakup has a reason. 1 or 2 is fine. But there are so many. It must be your problem. There are not so many. Anyway, several. Some breakups aren't initiated by me. It's still a breakup. 2 people stared at each other. Look, we haven't done anything yet and still we can argue. Qin Yufei glared for a while. She lowered her eyes and went back to the tomato sauce. Then she reached for another fish fillet, dipped it full of sauce and put it in her mouth. Feeling better. Ji Yingjie, you don't have to be upset. You're such a womanizer. The tone of voice firmly accused him. I am not. He just wasn't convinced. Then you say, these girlfriend of yours, how many have you brought home and how many of them you plan to talk about getting married? You're beautiful models and celebrities. Will your family agree? Can you really marry? Ji Yingjie opened his mouth. There was really none of them that make him fall in love to the point of bringing them home to meet his parents to talk about marriage. And they broke up. His family does have requirements for family background. But he thinks the most important thing is his feeling. If he likes, then he would insists. His family certainly cannot oppose. Every relationship I've ever had has been serious. That's all he could say. The breakup in the end was not all my problem. So on young Master Gu's side, it's also hard to find true love. Qin Yufei sarcastically snapped at him. Gu Yingjia frowned. For the first time he felt weak. Falling in love, and love each other. It's good for both of them are happy. What else? Which step can be taken? Don't you need to let nature take its course and see? Every time he was in a relationship, he didn't go as far as discussing marriage. It should be like this. Right? Gu Yingjia. Qin Yufei then said, I've thought about it. We really don't suit each other. I have so many problems. And you know all my bad things. How can you not mind? We fight every time we see each other. And if we were together, you would soon be unable to tolerate me. And I would be suspicious that there would be something else behind the smile you give to other women. I would guard against you reaching out to my friends. And I would lose a lot of friends because of it. My life would be a mess. I'd be suspicious and unhappy every day. And then we'd argue and resent each other. She stopped and looked at him. I don't want it that way, she said.